AI doctors, self-driving cars, AI composing award-winning music.
Mm,
It's easy to think of a future filled with those things as like straight out of science fiction.
right.
But you've sent in a stack of articles that show just how close we are to that reality. So in this deep dive, we're going to unpack the most important and interesting insights from your research and look at the future of AI.
And you're smart to be thinking about this now because these changes aren't decades away.
Right.
We're talking about the next 5, 10, maybe even 20 years.
Exactly. In fact, one article mentioned that by 2025, nearly every new car will have some AI-powered features.
Yeah.
That's mind-boggling when you think about how much AI is already woven into our lives, even in ways we don't realize.
It is remarkable how quickly things are progressing. But it's important to remember that what we mostly interact with today is what's called narrow AI.
Okay, so let's break down what that means exactly.
Sure.
Because we hear about AI doing all these amazing things, but it's not like there's a single AI out there doing it all, right?
Right. Think of narrow AI like a chess prodigy. They can beat grandmasters at chess, but ask them to make a cup of tea and they'd struggle like anyone else.
Yeah.
These systems are built for specific tasks, like recommending your next favorite song or filtering spam emails. They're incredibly good at what they do, but their expertise is limited to that one area.
So then the Netflix recommendations that seem to know my taste better than I do, that's narrow AI in action.
Precisely. And it's doing exactly what it's designed to do. Analyze data about your viewing habits to predict what you might enjoy watching next.
Makes sense. But that brings up a question. What about the other side of AI we hear so much about? The kind that can make a cup of tea, write a symphony, and maybe even hold a conversation about the meaning of life. That's general AI, right?
Exactly. General AI is the big one, the one that keeps researchers up at night, in both excitement and cautious speculation.
Mm.
It's the quest to create AI that possesses human-like intelligence across the board, the ability to learn, reason, and solve problems in a way we haven't been able to replicate in machines.
Okay, so that's where things start to feel like they're straight out of science fiction.
Sure.
We've all seen the movies where the robots become self-aware. But seriously, how far off is general AI? Are we talking decades, centuries?
That's the million-dollar question, and there's no real consensus. Some experts believe we're still centuries away, while others argue it could happen much sooner. But what's fascinating is that even without achieving general AI, the advancements we're seeing in narrow AI are already having a profound impact on our lives.
Especially in the workforce, right? I mean, that's one area where you see a lot of debate about AI replacing jobs.
Absolutely, and your sources reflect that anxiety.
Yeah.
And it is a major consideration. Several of your articles highlight the potential for AI to automate a wide range of tasks, which could significantly change the landscape of many professions.
So, to put it bluntly, are robots going to take our jobs?
It's not quite as simple as robots taking over. A more nuanced way to think about it is this. Many jobs today involve repetitive tasks that AI can potentially do more efficiently. Think about things like data entry, scheduling appointments, or even basic writing. Those tasks are prime candidates for automation.
So then what happens to the people who do those jobs now? That's what worries a lot of people.
It's a valid concern, and it's something we need to address proactively. It's not about pretending those jobs won't be affected, but rather, how can we prepare people for a changing job market? Because new jobs will emerge, just like they always have with technological advancements.
Okay, so paint me a picture. What kind of jobs are we talking about? What does a future-proof career look like in a world where AI is handling more and more of the day-to-day?
That's where things get really interesting. Think about roles like AI trainers. These are the people who will teach AI systems to perform specific tasks, essentially becoming AI whisperers. Or how about AI ethicists, who ensure that AI is developed and used responsibly? These are just a couple of examples, and many more will undoubtedly emerge as AI continues to evolve.
So it's less about AI being the job stealer and more about AI creating a whole new set of jobs that require different skills and ways of thinking.
Precisely. It highlights the importance of adaptability and lifelong learning.
Yeah.
The ability to adapt to new technologies and acquire new skills will be crucial for navigating the changing job market.
It's like the saying goes, the only constant is change, right? And in this case, that change is being driven by AI at an unprecedented pace. It's definitely a lot to wrap your head around, but it makes you realize that the future is closer than we think.
Speaking of wrapping our heads around things, you also sent in some articles about AI in healthcare, which is something I find fascinating.
It's a field that's ripe for disruption, in a good way, of course. Imagine a world where AI assists doctors with incredibly accurate diagnoses, analyzes medical images to spot things the human eye might miss, and even personalizes treatment plans based on individual genetic makeup. Okay, that's incredible. But it also raises a bit of a concern for me. Doctors are human, they make mistakes. So it stands to reason that an AI could make a mistake too, right? But then who's responsible when it comes to AI? If something goes wrong, who do you even blame? The doctor, the programmers, the AI itself.
You've hit on one of the biggest ethical and legal dilemmas surrounding AI in healthcare.
Yeah.
And your sources really dig into those questions, which are becoming increasingly urgent.
Hmm.
Right now, the responsibility for an AI's mistake often falls into a gray area. But as AI takes on a more prominent role in healthcare, we'll need to figure out where liability lies. Is it a technology issue or a medical one? Or both? These are complex questions without easy answers, and they'll likely keep lawyers and ethicists busy for years to come.
It's definitely uncharted territory. But getting back to the positive side of AI in healthcare, one of the articles you sent mentioned how AI could completely revolutionize personalized medicine.
Absolutely. And this is where your research gets really fascinating.
Hmm.
Imagine a future where algorithms can analyze your DNA, lifestyle, and environmental factors to create a completely personalized health plan. We're talking about predicting potential health risks before they even arise and developing highly targeted treatments.
So instead of a one-size-fits-all approach, healthcare becomes truly personalized. That's incredible. But with all this talk about AI's potential, we'd be remiss not to address the elephant in the room, the singularity. Is that just a science fiction fantasy, or could AI really become so intelligent that it surpasses human comprehension?
The singularity is a concept that sparks both awe and fear.
Right.
It's the idea that AI will reach a point where it can design and create even more intelligent AI, leading to an intelligence explosion that fundamentally alters the course of human civilization.
Okay.
Whether it's a real possibility or purely speculative is a matter of debate among experts,
Sure.
but it certainly makes you think about the potential consequences of our creations.
Okay, now I'm picturing some super intelligent AI politely thanking us for building it before jetting off to solve the mysteries of the universe, leaving us humans in the dust.
It's a thought-provoking, if not slightly unsettling image.
Yeah.
But for now, the reality is we're still in the early stages of AI development. While the singularity might be a possibility somewhere down the line, we've got a lot of ground to cover before we need to worry about AI outsmarting us.
And speaking of covering ground, one of the areas where AI is literally making moves is in transportation. You mentioned self-driving cars earlier, which still feel kind of futuristic to me.
I know. It seems like just yesterday we were watching cartoons with flying cars, and now we're on the verge of cars that can drive themselves. So how close are we really to a future where we can just sit back, relax, and let the car do the driving?
Closer than you might think.
Wow.
Autonomous vehicles are already being tested on roads today, and many experts believe they'll be commonplace within the next decade or two. And it's not just about convenience. Self-driving cars have the potential to make roads significantly safer.
Machines don't get distracted, don't drive drowsy, and don't make emotional decisions behind the wheel.
That's a good point. Less road rage and more time to catch up on podcasts. I can get behind that. But what about the other potential benefits? One of your articles mentions something about self-driving trucks, revolutionizing logistics and shipping.
Absolutely. Imagine a world without truck driver shortages, where goods can be transported across countries with incredible efficiency, 24/7.
Hmm.
That's the promise of autonomous trucking. And it extends beyond trucking. We're talking self-driving delivery drones, autonomous ships, even possibly automated air taxis.
Okay, now that you mention air taxis, I'm picturing a scene straight out of the Jetsons. But on a more serious note, this all sounds amazing, but what about the potential downsides? We've talked about jobs, but are there other concerns with this level of automation?
There are always trade-offs with new technologies.
Right.
One concern is cybersecurity. When you have vehicles connected to a network, they become vulnerable to hacking.
So instead of worrying about someone stealing your car, you have to worry about someone hacking into it and taking control remotely. That's a whole other level of anxiety.
It's a valid concern and one that engineers are actively working to address.
Okay.
The security of these systems is paramount, and it's something that will be constantly evolving as technology advances.
It makes you realize that this isn't just about developing cool technology. It's about anticipating and mitigating potential risks. Speaking of risks and rewards, another area where AI is poised to have a massive impact is education. You sent in a fascinating article about how AI could personalize learning for every student. That sounds amazing in theory, but I have to admit the idea of robots replacing teachers is a bit unsettling.
I understand your concern.
Yeah.
It's natural to wonder if machines will replace the human element in education.
Will my kids even have teachers in the future?
It's highly unlikely that robots will replace teachers entirely. But what AI can do is augment the role of teachers, freeing them from tasks like grading and lesson planning so they can focus more on individualized instruction and fostering those essential human skills like critical thinking and creativity that AI, at least for now, can't replicate.
So it's more about AI being a teacher's assistant than a replacement.
Exactly. Think of AI as a personalized tutor for every student, adapting to their learning style, identifying their strengths and weaknesses, and providing customized feedback.
Okay.
This frees up teachers to provide more one-on-one attention, guide discussions, and create a more engaging and interactive learning environment.
So AI handles the data crunching and personalized learning plans, while teachers can focus on inspiring curiosity and fostering a love of learning. That makes sense.
It's about leveraging the strengths of both humans and AI to create more effective and engaging educational experience.
Okay, that's a much less scary vision than robots lecturing to rows of bored students.
We're still a long way from the Jetsons-style classrooms, but it's exciting to think about the possibilities of AI in education. And while we're on the topic of exciting possibilities, there's one more aspect of the future of AI we should touch upon: its potential impact on creativity.
AI artists, AI musicians, AI poets, is there anything AI won't be able to do? Some of the articles you sent even touched on AI creating art and music, which seems like, wow, a whole other level of complex thinking.
It really does blur the lines of what we traditionally consider creative, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We're used to thinking of AI as good with numbers and logic, but now it's venturing into the realm of artistic expression.
And it's not just creating basic patterns or melodies.
Right.
I've seen some AI-generated artwork that's, genuinely breathtaking.
I know, it's amazing.
And some of the music I've heard is surprisingly catchy.
It challenges our preconceived notions about creativity, doesn't it? We tend to think of art as a uniquely human endeavor, something that flows from our emotions and experiences. But as AI systems become more sophisticated, they're beginning to generate work that evokes emotions in us, even if those emotions aren't consciously programmed into the algorithms.
Yeah, it makes you wonder,
It's wild.
what happens when AI can create art that's indistinguishable from something a human artist could create? Does it change how we value art?
It's a question that philosophers and art critics are already grappling with.
Right.
If we can no longer tell the difference between human-created and AI-created art, does it diminish the human element? Or does it expand our definition of creativity itself?
It's definitely a mind-bending concept to consider.
Absolutely.
And speaking of mind-bending, you know what we haven't talked about yet?
Right?
What about the big picture? How will all of these advancements in AI shape society as a whole? That's something that comes up a lot in these articles.
It's the most crucial question of all, really.
Right.
Because AI isn't just a technological advancement, it's a societal one. And it's not something that's happening to us. Right. We're actively shaping this future with every algorithm we write, every system we develop.
So then what can we do to make sure we're shaping it in a way that benefits everyone?
That's the question, isn't it?
Because there's a lot of talk about the potential downsides, too. Algorithmic bias, job displacement, the potential misuse of AI.
It's about being aware of those potential pitfalls and addressing them proactively. It's about having open and honest conversations about the ethical implications of AI. And it's about demanding transparency from the companies and governments developing these powerful technologies.
Well, it's not just about making sure AI is smart,
It's about more than that.
but also making sure it's used ethically and responsibly.
Exactly. And that requires a collective effort from policymakers, researchers, industry leaders, and everyday citizens. We need to ask ourselves, how can we ensure that AI benefits all of humanity, not just a select few? How do we mitigate the risks while still fostering innovation?
It's a big responsibility, but it's also incredibly exciting because we're not just talking about the future of technology, we're talking about the future of our world.
And that future isn't predetermined, it's being written right now, and we all have a role to play in shaping it.
That's a powerful thought to end on. We've covered a lot of ground today, from the inner workings of AI to its potential impact on everything, from healthcare to the art world. We've explored the excitement and the anxieties, the possibilities, and the potential pitfalls. But most importantly, we've highlighted that the future of AI isn't something to be passively observed. It's something we're actively creating.
Well said. And who knows, maybe this deep dive will inspire someone listening to write the next chapter in the AI story.
Now that's a call to action. So keep learning, stay curious, and remember, the future of AI is in our hands.